And good morning. Welcome back. Oh, it's so good to see you this morning. It's great to be here. But I'll tell you, it's important for us all to have this understanding that we already do, but we need to remind ourselves that it's really important for us all to understand how our core values and our core beliefs need to be aligned with our vision. Because if they're aligned with our vision, then we're going to be more happy, more successful, and more productive in everything we do. So, I mean, there's a lot of great guests that have been on the show here over the last year. I mean, it's been a year that we've been doing this. Isn't that amazing? But the great guests are going to keep coming. They're going to come. Some are going to come back. We're just going to have a great time. But I want to make sure that we talk about the guest that we have coming on today, because the guest that we have coming on today is phenomenal. So he knows a lot about his vision. He knows a lot about what he's doing, and he's up early with us here this morning from San Francisco. His name is none other than Bob Bednarz. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Good. It's good to see you this morning, and I'm so thankful for you being on and being with us this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Bob, tell me when you think, or when was your first recollection of knowing your vision?
Oh gosh, it took a while, but I came from a good background. I'm 100% Polish Catholic. Every single corner of my being, and so I got a tradition in my background. And so, growing up in the 60s and the 70s, we get thrown off with the American dream and the American self-interest. And of course, back then it was just like live for today and not think about the future. So youth and fun and adventure got in the way a little bit, but I got realigned. And then it's all important to not only do what I'm going to do to make myself happy, but to give back. And the real joy is making others happy. And have you come along for the ride?
Awesome. I love it. If you want to hear more, stay right there. Again, good morning, everyone. If you would, please put in your comment section. Put in a hashtag live if you're listening to this live. If you're listening to this from a replay, put in a hashtag replay. Let us know where you're coming in from. That would be great. And making this community larger is all what it's all about. So thank you very much for doing that. Now, Bob, tell me, you've given us a little bit of a hint of your story. Can you tell us more?
Sure. Well, let's see. I grew up in suburban Chicago, and it was a difficult background in the beginning because my mother died when I was 3 years old, and left me with an alcoholic father, and he wasn't ready to be a parent, a single parent anyway. And I had 3 other siblings, and he was ready to ship us off to an orphanage. But thanks to his sisters, my older brothers, and kind of kept us together as a family. And so we were able to actually not only survive in that kind of situation, but actually thrive. I'm very close to my siblings right now. We kind of we're part of raising each other as we grew up. And, I don't have any kids but I do have lots of nieces and nephews, and a very wonderful extended family full of a lot of love. And so part of what I appreciate is just coming from a difficult background. And then on my own, I was like my oldest brother who moved to California. I used to stare out at the railroad tracks down out west and going, I want to end up in California. And here I am in San Francisco. So when I was old enough at the age of 20, I moved out here and had quite an adventure and experience. First, I was a bartender, alcoholic father, who'd have thunk? But that put me into a position where I love to have events and be part of organizing people. And then after that, in the 80s, I had a limousine service. That was wonderful, and with my partner at the time. But due to circumstances and the business kind of folded up, I got in the mortgage business and started getting myself involved in real estate, which was fine. But I learned that to be successful in that business, you have to network and get to know people. And that's exactly what I have been doing a lot. And
Hmm.
so after being in the career for like 25 years, my avocation is, especially with this pandemic that came through, just like you said, for a year, I do this thing called Bob's Coffee Chat, and I bring people in from all over the community. And it's been not just in San Francisco, but we've expanded to like all over the country. Where first it started off like how to thrive and survive in the era of Corona, and now, as we're all moving out into the real world, it's still hanging in there, and people are like, it's giving back to the community and giving lots of positive, upbeat messages, just like you do with your show. I'm so impressed with what you do, Brian.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're doing great work too, Bob. Hopefully someday I'll get to a point where I can come here and come on your show too.
Oh, I want you to. Okay, let's set a date. I am going to hold you to that.
All right, all right. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. We'll be on together. We're both part of the Golden Gate Breakfast Club, and that's been a great group. So we'll see each other on there if nothing else.
Exactly. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you volunteered to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to. So that's a great story. So where in Chicago do you grow up?
Downers Grove.
Downers Grove. Okay.
Now, a lot of people don't know where.
I lived in Bloomingdale for a couple years. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was going to say a lot of people don't know where Downers Grove is, so I have to say it's near Naperville, but Bloomingdale's a little even harder to find.
Actually, we lived in Bolingbrook for a couple years too, which is a little south of Naperville.
Right. I know exactly where that is.
That place is growing up so much. It's just crazy with all the traffic and the roads and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, not only my background, it was the weather, it was Chicago, and it was getting to be like that when I was growing up there. It was just like one of my goals was I love Chicago when I go visit and have a good time, but at the time I just wanted to move.
Yeah.
That was one of my goals when I was young.
I don't blame you. Are you a baseball fan?
Yes.
And
I'm heavily into the San Francisco Giants unless the Cubs come to play. So they just had a series here
yesterday.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I was happy both ways. So we got our first three, but we let the Cubs have one.
Yeah. I'm a Cubs fan. So
okay, that was great a couple of years ago, right? They finally got the World
2016. That was the year. So yeah. Oh, we could talk about that for a long time.
I know.
Well, this is great. So Downers Grove, and you moved to San Francisco. What you were 20 years old when you moved
20 years old. I moved here in 1978. Little story behind that. So we got here. It was November 1978. First thing that happened was Jonestown. It's like, and there was a lot of people here that were involved with that. It's like, wow, that's really tragic. And then the next part was Harvey Milk, the gay supervisor, and the Mayor Moscone got assassinated. And like all this was happening right when we moved here. I go, what is going on here? Did we make the right decision? But I tell you, and if you saw the movie Milk, that night of the assassination, we went up to the highest point in San Francisco, Twin Peaks, and it was evening. We looked down, and you look down, there's Market Street with street lights lining the boulevard all the way to the Ferry Building. And it's a direct alignment from where you see the vision from up in Twin Peaks. And there were these little tiny lights in the middle of between the two sides of the street lights. And they go, that's unusual. What is that? And we drove down, and it was the first candlelight march going from the Castro to City Hall. And there was just a whole opening and outpouring of emotion and grief and sorrow and the community coming together. And it was all spontaneous. And at City Hall, there was entertainers like Joan Baez just having a performance and stuff. It was just the whole community coming together and going, "Wow, that is really special." And if you see the movie Milk with Sean Penn, they show a scene of that at the very end. And boy, when I saw that movie, I just started crying because it just all that emotion came back. And it's just like, wow, that was a really powerful, important event in my life.
Wow. So what was that like to move there at that time? I mean, I'll leave it at that. What was it like?
Oh, I am nostalgic for that. if you ever read the book or saw the series on PBS, Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin, it's just a collage of different characters, like myself coming to San Francisco during the 70s and the 80s. And it was just like, it's all about people moving here from other places in the country. And the protagonist, the main character is Marianne Singleton coming in from Ohio, like a naive Mary Tyler Moore kind of character that just gets involved in the crazy San Francisco scene at the time and just evolves and matures. And I'm sorry, but it's not like that now. And I missed that part of San Francisco when I was here for those first early years.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, San Francisco is by far my favorite city. So, I love that place.
It is. There's a little bit of a lot of tech money, and it's I don't know, the bohemian kind of artistic kind of fun kind of city that it used to be. They try to do that, and there's still some of that here, but it's gotten so expensive. So people like myself that can't come here, trying to make a name for themselves and don't have any money or connections. It's more difficult these days than it used to be in the old days.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what's the real estate? The real estate prices is what I always refer to, but I mean, there's probably more to it than that. What has happened there?
Wow, it is crazy here. It's there's just not enough for sale, and there's a lot of areas like Marin County that's like 75% open space where you can't even build on it. And so what happened, especially during COVID, is people were moving out of San Francisco and trying to the outer areas, looking for space and more room and a backyard and places for kids to play and for spouses to have room to go into different parts of the house. So we've already had inflated pricing because of too much demand and not enough supply. But especially in the outer suburbs, and not even too far, we have a phenomenon called COVID pricing, where it's even doubling crazy stuff. So you see something that's priced on the market that's reasonably priced, and it might even be a fixer upper and need some work, and you'll have like 18, 20 offers all going crazy. It's really tight markets if you try and especially for a first-time home buyer.
Huh. So being in financial services, how has that impacted you?
Well, me as a mortgage broker, it's been fine. I mean, I have lots and lots of pre-approvals, and I'm very happy when they go into contract. But because of rates being so low, it's just been a boom for people who want to refinance. And even people that refinanced last year when they thought rates were low, I mean, they're even lower now, and they're doing it again. So it's been good to me. People have been suffering a lot with the economy over the last year and a half, and for me, it's been quite the opposite. It's been quite the boom. In fact, so much so, I'm looking at my retirement account going, this might be a reality.
Oh, you're actually saving money. That's a neat idea.
I am. Who'd have thunk?
Good for you. Good for you. So what do you think the biggest factor in your success is?
Connections. My business is based on referral primarily. And so I like to call myself your lender life, because I've been doing this now for I'll be 30 years next year. And
wow.
yeah, so the same clients I had like 30 years ago, I'm doing their kids now. And it's, and if you look at the trajectory of what interest rates have done since the early 90s, when we were coming out of double-digit interest rates, and getting an 8% 30-year fixed rate loan was a steal.
Yeah.
And even though there was ups and downs going on, there's just been a steady kind of like downward trend for interest rates till like it really bottomed out at the beginning of this year. So where you think in this business it's transactional and you do one deal, I've been doing deals over and over again for the same clients for years and years and years, and just really appreciating having that kind of an opportunity.
Well, that is awesome. So speaking of connections, we've got a few connections here from some people here that are on the call with us. So Linda Kazera, thank you very much, Linda. Good morning from West Virginia. That's awesome. And then Jane McGinnis Thomas, good morning. That's great that you're on. And then our friend Robert Booker is on as well. So good morning, Robert. Good to see you this morning. It's all good. So Let's see. Oh, Robert says, our life is built on blocks known as habits. Very true. Very true. Well, thank you all for joining. If there's if there's other people on the call that want to comment and let us know where you're coming in from, that would be great. Now, Bob, you've told us a little bit about your biggest factor in your success. What's the next level of your success look like? Is it retirement, or is there more to it than that?
Well, you know, in the real estate business, nobody really retires. They just kind of fade away.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is kind of a business where I can do it as long as I want to. I don't have a pension, but I just, you know, live off my retirement funds and stuff. And I've got lots of nice personal connections with people. And to tell you the truth, especially with being shelter in place the last year, I can really do this thing digitally. I could do it anywhere I want to. So the next phase for me is like, you know, it is expensive to live here. And, you know, one of these days, if I ever sell my home, I look rich on paper, but it
Yeah.
doesn't materialize until you actually cash out. So we're looking at different places to like maybe at least get a second home. And, you know, my partner, his family is in Albuquerque, just on the outskirts in a little
Oh.
town called Los Chavos. And we have an opportunity to maybe check that out. And two of his brothers are building new homes on some acreage out there, and they've got a spot just reserved there for us if we want to. So the next short-term event is this summer. We're taking a road trip out there and checking out, you know, just like when I moved out to California, this might be the next move, going out to New Mexico. And I can still do what I'm doing when I want digitally, but it'll be the place where, okay, if I just want to settle down and just be the old man in the rocking chair, that might be the place to do it.
Yeah. I love New Mexico, and going there, it's like being in a different country. It's really, really cool. So my oldest son had his one of his internships out there for 4 months, and just a great place to be. So
Yeah, it's just an adventure. And I think if you're looking, you know, I'm 63, and even though my parents died at an early age, the generational thing, my aunts and uncles, and my grandmother, she lived 3 months before her 100th birthday. So I'm kind of embracing being 63 years old and thinking I'm in good health right now. In fact, last time I went to the doctor, I said, I don't take any medication. I don't have any chronic conditions. What's the matter with me? So chances are I'm going to live to be a long time. So number one, it's expensive to live that long. And number two, it'd be nice to be in a place like New Mexico, maybe where it's just like you just relax and enjoy the final chapter.
Oh yeah, and lots of good food too.
Okay. Well, I have to get on an exercise program then.
So what are some obstacles or challenges you're still working on?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to pause on that for a minute. Probably my own self-criticism. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm my own worst critic. It's like, for example, deep down, especially when I was a little kid, and you know, part of my going around, part of my mother dying when I was 3. So part of us staying together was I had to go to like different aunts and uncles and stay with my cousins until we got the permanent living situation together. So I turned out to be quite an introvert because, you know, I wasn't part of their families or anything like that. And so the challenge for me is the introvert still comes out in me. Like when we had shelter in place, it's like, okay, we're stuck at home. You're like, yay, I don't have to go anywhere.
See, I don't feel that way.
So my challenge is to go out and do stuff like with you on here. So, you know, going on Zoom and being with you on Facebook Live and LinkedIn and stuff. It's fun because once I get there, I really enjoy it, and I get to be part of the community. And you know, actually, the part of being stuck at home was part of my challenge was I was digitally like not connected. I didn't even know what Zoom was when we first started shelter in place a year ago. And now I'm doing my own show on Zoom. I've got a YouTube channel. It's like all this stuff I would have never done before. And it's fun and I enjoy it. And so that's my challenge. It's just like get out of myself that just want to hide and just be by myself and just get out in the world and enjoy people like yourself.
Well, that's awesome. So you talked a little bit about things you didn't realize were there, but now they are there. So a lot of times we refer to those as blind spots. Who sees your blind spots?
Oh, well, I have my partner here, my partner David. We've been together for like 23 years now.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, and
that's a long time.
it's a long time, and the good news is when you're stuck with somebody that you can't get into, ended up being the right one.
Hmm.
The challenging news was you don't stay together with somebody for 23 years unless you learn about each other and learn how to compromise. And so,
Hmm.
if there's anybody that's calling me out on anything, it would definitely be him.
Yeah, I know how that goes. There's a lot of truth to that. So,
Well, I appreciate it though because you need that feedback and somebody close in your life. So at least for me, and I'm really appreciative of that.
yeah, as long as
Love me back.
you can receive that feedback as a gift, as I always say, you got to receive it as a gift. When you receive a gift, what do you say?
Yes, and that's a challenge too. I have to like remember that.
Not always easy.
Not always easy.
So tell me, how do you attain clarity every day?
Well, I have kind of like a spiritual practice. I'll do a little reading, a little journaling, and I love if I have just a few minutes, 5 to 20 minutes, if I have the time, is just to do some meditation. And
Mm,
my favorite thing is I don't do it every morning, but at least a few mornings a week. I mentioned about going up to Twin Peaks. I live near there now, so I
mm,
like to go when I'm done, with my reading and writing. I'll go for a run, and then halfway down the hill, there's this little pathway in the trees by this rooftop school that not a lot of people know about, and has this beautiful view of the city and
mm.
the bay. And that's when I'll stop and I'll do a little prayer, a little meditation, and set my intentions for the day. And often I find that when I do that, I have a better day than when I don't.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to start the day. That sounds awesome. Oh, I love San Francisco. That's cool. So, how do you stay steadfast in that? You just keep doing really the same thing.
Well, part of my experience is um, I mentioned we were talking earlier. I belong to Alcoholics Anonymous, and back in the day when I had the limousine service with my partner at the time, that kind of failed, and the relationship failed. Everything was falling apart, and I had my own drinking problem. So I found Alcoholics Anonymous, and now I'm really entwined in that fellowship, and it reconnected me with my spiritual program, with my faith background, and it has a host of people that are now my friends and my confidants, and I have them to bounce off of each other actually. And like I was mentioning to you earlier, we just came back from a retreat up at the Russian River where there were like 30 of us, just in the woods, and just getting that really deep connection with each other. And it was
Mhm.
just, I do that twice a year, and it's just like a reset. So
Hmm.
even in the long-term haul, when I like seem like fading and like life's not going my way, it's always there for me to go back to get that reset.
Huh. That sounds incredible. The Russian River, huh? How far
Hmm.
is that from where you live?
It's about 60 miles north of San Francisco.
Hmm. 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 Yeah, that sounds awesome. So what else do you do to recharge?
Well, like I said, I do running,
Yeah.
and so I try to keep somewhat of physical fitness. I used to be diehard. I was like a diehard bicyclist. I'd like bicycle from Seattle to San Francisco. I don't do that anymore, but that's why I try to like not only with like the spiritual program I told you, but a little bit of exercise and try to eat well. But like this weekend, it was like all about barbecue and cream pies and just like gorging out. So
Hmm.
you know, it's always good to have health and wellness all there, but you got to enjoy life just a little bit and have little cheat
Yeah.
days so you could just like feel like you're being a little bit of a rogue. You're like not naughty boy, and then just like reel it all back in.
Well, yeah, this is crazy. We're going through time like hot butter through knife, a hot knife through butter. I said that wrong. But tell me, are you a reader?
Yes, I wish I read more than I would like to. But doing that coffee chat thing, I come across some of my presenters that are readers, and like right now, one of the books I'm reading is Words Whispered in Water. I believe that's the title of it. Sandy Rosenthal. I think she's part of your speakers club. And it's all about how the levees broke in New Orleans and how the shift and blame was really to the Army Corps of Engineers. And it's her personal story on how she called the Army Corps of Engineers to the carpet. A housewife from New Orleans. You're just challenging the big corporations. So,
Really?
and yeah, you got to read it. It's an easy read and it's a phenomenal book. So it's like, I like hearing stories like that. So I am a reader, but I'm not I'll admit it. I'm not reading as much as I can, and I need the people that like come to me like with interesting books, especially authors. It's like, okay, I got to read it now. You're an author and you're on my show. I better do it.
Well, I'm one of those as well. So I have my book. Actually, my book is right here. So
let's see it. That'll be my next one. Oh, I like the title too. I've seen you advertise that before.
But no, writing the book is really one of the most beneficial things I've ever done. Not from a monetary perspective, but really getting all those thoughts and ideas out, and having more thoughts and ideas on top of that. So it's been great. So anyway, if you ever think of writing a book, I highly encourage you to do that.
Back in the early days, I had an inkling to want to be a writer, so we'll have to talk. That sounds exciting.
All right. Sounds good. So, Bob, what else can I do anything for you?
What is it that I would need? I mean, I just feel blessed. For me, I just like connecting with people, and this weekly Zoom meeting I call Bob's Coffee Chat on Friday mornings. I just encourage people to come and check it out, or check out my YouTube channel, Bob's Coffee Chat, and see some of the interesting presenters we have on there. So I'm looking for subscribers on there and for people to look at it. It's everything from food shows to presentations on global warming to human trafficking to how to look better on Zoom. That was last week's thing, Zoom up your. We had a stylist, Shelley Golden, like boost your Zoom, it was a Zoom makeover in real time. It was good. Cool. I've got a plant back here, and I got a solid colored shirt. It's like I pay attention to these presenters and try to look. And I went out and got a better camera too. I haven't had a chance to do it up, so I can actually look at you like I'm talking to you. So it's like
what kind of camera did you get?
It's a C9020 Pro HD webcam.
Oh wow!
It wasn't very expensive, but my trouble with my laptop here, because I don't have all the sophisticated equipment that you do, but for some reason this new Dell computer has the camera right above the keyboard at the bottom of the screen. And so if I'm not like staring at my keyboard, I'm not really looking at you.
So is that Bob's Coffee Chat? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So if people go out to YouTube, search for Bob's Coffee Chat, and you'll find it.
You'll find it. Just remember to keep that apostrophe in there. That's the only challenge.
Okay.
But you got it right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. Subscribe. Look at some of the presentations. It's amazing how different, wide, and varied background of people I have coming to make presentations. I get so excited when I get such a variety.
Well, thank you very much for being on this morning, Bob.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I was really humbled and grateful that you would ask me to come on your show.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get the chance to return the favor, and I can come on your show someday.
Absolutely. We're going to get a date here.
All right, sounds good.
Okay,
I'm going to
Brian.
wave you off, Bob. You
Okay.
can go back to the green room, but please stick around and we'll chat a little bit afterwards.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
All right, great. Thanks, Bob. Take
Thank you,
care.
Brian. You too.
All right, bye. What a great show, Bob Bednarz. Really brought a lot of value, and I just love San Francisco. So having a conversation with a guy like that is always interesting to me. So thank Bob for being on, and go out to Bob Bednarz's site on YouTube, Bob's Coffee Chat, and link up and subscribe to that. He would appreciate that. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for just being on. But there's also something that I want to make sure that we talk a little bit more about, and that is the shows that we have coming up this week. So this is the week of the 7th. Tomorrow we have a great show lined up for you, and I don't have all the names and everything, but there's more good shows coming. And then on Friday we have the Radical Vision for Disability show that'll be there as well. So please listen to that and come up and listen to those shows. I appreciate all that you've done. There's so much goodness that comes from being a part of this community, and I just thank you for your time. Thank you very much. And as always, keep one eye on the road.